Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. I want to apologize for my latest video to be like 3 weeks ago. So it's been a while since the last video, but I've been testing builds around. I was trying some spears if they were worth it, and also recently, like 3 days ago, we had a balance patch which will also change a lot of the newest meta. So I will discuss in this video how the spears impacted the War vs World mod and also how the latest patch will impact the War vs World. The most important part of the latest patches, of course, will be the Celestial attribute to be nerfed. So the Celestial attribute now will no longer grant concentration or expertise while in a War vs World map. Let's take a look at the Celestial stats now. Previously, before this nerf, it also had concentration and expertise, of course, and it was kinda strong. In my opinion, Celestial was never super strong, since like DPS players cannot use Celestial, but it was nice for supports, because basically Celestial has the same healing stats as a Minstrel, which is considered meta for the supports. So you could apply a lot of healing with Celestial and also a lot of boon duration, and that's why also, for example, Celestial Renegades existed, because you could apply a long amount of stability, yes, and also of alacrity, because you had a lot of concentration just by having Celestial, and also expertise provided some condition duration, so there was really a lot of conditions spam, and also long conditions, so you needed to cleanse it, and really in a matter of seconds you had like 20 conditions on you and like 10 stacks of it, and you would like not move at all if you had like cripple, chill and immobilize for ages. Now this was nerfed, so I think the Condi cancer is cured, at least for now, but we will see how the meta will shift. I can only predict some things based on my experience. First of all, let's recap which classes were actually good on Celestial. I saw some people playing the Reaper on Celestial, but it wasn't really the best. Maybe it was decent, but it's not comparable to other very good classes on Celestial. And also on the Spellbreaker, which was kinda useless in my opinion, just go for damage or for full support. I don't think Celestial with Immobilizes was really worth it. I saw just a bunch of those Spellbreakers, but let's get to the main topic. So the Scourge is of course the class which was nerfed the most with Celestial, because the heal Scourge was like super strong 1 year ago or so, then it was nerfed over the months, but still it was great with the new Celestial stats because of the high boon duration, high barriers, high tankiness, and also Condi spam, and most importantly the boon strip, which is untouched. So the Scourge I think is still viable, you can play it even without Celestial. I think something will work. You can go for example on Minstrel or Berserker, Marauder to do some damage while corrupting the boons and giving some barriers to your allies. But also the Scourge got another huge nerf, which is the nerf to the Transfusion mechanic, which is this one. Basically, previously when you pressed your F4 with this trait, Transfusion, you would teleport downed allies to you and you could save them by resting them. Now Transfusion was nerfed and this trait no longer teleports downed allies to the user. So basically we still will heal with this trait, and we can heal allies around us and also downed allies around us, but we will not teleport them anymore. So this was a huge nerf, because like it was too strong actually, because basically you could reset entire fights just by reviving your allies. You see this guy, maybe he will die, I press F4, I teleport him away from the damage, I rest him, and the fight starts again. So I think this nerf was kinda needed, and even with this nerf, probably the Scourge will remain relevant. I mean, it has an unmatched boon strip and also barrier. Like I think the Spellbreaker can beat it in the boon strip aspect, but still it's much harder to use. You just, on the Scourge, you just really need to press your skill from F1 to F5, and also your barrier, you have a lot of boon strip, you have stun break, you have unblockable boon rip, like also the ghastly breach is super strong, big AoE around you. You have the Grey Sword, which has the skill 4, which is basically another well, the skill 5, which is a huge pull, which can really turn the fight if you manage to catch someone without stability. I don't think the Scourge will be deleted from the game with this patch. I think it's now maybe balanced. You will see many Scourges, and also Necromancer is one of the most favorite classes in this game by every player. So I think the Necromancer still works great. And also keep in mind that we will not have, even if we run Celestial still, we will not have the huge condition duration given by Celestial, so our conditions will not last super long like it used to be, but still you can spam your conditions. Another great classes which was hard nerfed by the Celestial nerf is the Renegade, Celestial Renegade of course. This class could provide huge amounts of stability because of the long duration thanks to the concentration of Celestial, and also you could apply a lot of alacrity with the F4. You see now we don't have concentration from Celestial, so the base duration is 1 second. Previously you could almost apply permanent alacrity on your party with this skill alone, and also this skill was nerfed like 2 months ago or so, so the duration was already nerfed on the alacrity, then it was nerfed on the concentration, so I think this class is kinda dead, at least on Celestial. Maybe you could arrange something on this class if you play Minstrel, since the damage is 0, so you could play Minstrel or something else which has some boon duration, because this class is actually really versatile. Even if we have Celestial nerfed, we have this one for the stability. Pulsing stability is like Unhallowed Ground with a lower cooldown. And then we have Orders from Above with Alacrity, which is still really important. Sorry, it was the F4, not the F3. And then also we have an unblockable boon strip, which I expected to be nerfed. It's Banish Enchantment. So you press it, you have this range ray on your enemies, and you will boon strip 3 boons from 5 enemies, and it's unblockable, and it has only 5 seconds cooldown. I know the energy cost is kinda high, but still I think this maybe needs a nerf, maybe 2 boons, I don't know. But still, this class was nerfed harder than the Scourge in my opinion, because the Scourge has so many things on the kit that you can really play it however you want, and also it's always useful. You just need healing power, for example, for the barriers, and you can boon strip just by walking around and pressing skills, and you don't need specific stats. This class instead deals 0 damage, like kinda low boon corruption, except this skill. So let's say you are stuck on the dwarf for 10 seconds, you have no boon strip, except maybe this one, which is brutality. Whenever we have quickness, we can remove 1 stack of stability per hit on enemies, once per second. And also we have, as I already said, stability and alacrity, which is one of the most unique boons in War vs World. It was removed from basically every class, like the Scourge, the Tempest, the Druid, and now only the Mesmer, the Chronomancer, sorry, and the Renegade can apply alacrity, and the Blade Sword, which is like a meme of a class. So I think this class maybe could stay relevant, but surely not on Celestial, because Celestial had no more concentration now. Another super strong class, which was super strong on Celestial, which was nerfed, was the Celestial Firebrand. This class basically exploited every stats to be the strongest. Like, probably this class was the strongest on Celestial, because on Celestial we had condition damage, and this class was built to do fire burning damage around it, and so you could unleash a lot of damage around you as a condition class. And also you had the healing power from the Celestial, so you could heal a bit your allies, even if the Firebrand is not the best healer. And also, most importantly, you had the concentration, which could provide a lot of stability, like the duration of stability was basically the same as the old Minstrel Guardians, which were 0 damage. And also we had the expertise, which was for the condition duration on the enemies, on the burning, so we could really apply a lot of burning for a lot of time, and also we could provide a lot of stability for a lot of time on our allies, while having access to resistance, CCs, stability, Aegis, revivals. So you had really a lot of stuff to use on the Celestial Firebrand, but with this nerf I don't think anyone will play Celestial Firebrand anymore, because like you could still do a decent amount of damage on the Celestial Firebrand. Of course the damage is still strong, but you have no condition duration and you have no concentration, so you would not provide any stability. Like you could provide stability, but the base duration of the stabilities are kind of low on the Celestial. Right now I am not on Celestial, but you see I have 10 seconds of stability and I am full Minstrel. So if you run Celestial, which has 0 concentration, you would have like 5 seconds or 6 on the stability on Stand Your Ground, and it's a lot lower than a proper support Firebrand. So I think the Celestial Firebrand is kinda dead. Maybe some people can play it as a DPS, but it's super niche and I wouldn't recommend it. Let's take a look at the other patch notes. It seems that ArenaNet wants us to play Dagger Tempest for healing in War vs World. We received several buffs on these skills. We have, for example, which is interesting, the skill 3 on the water on the dagger main hand, reduce the cooldown from 15 seconds to 12 seconds in PvP and War vs World. This skill is a combo finisher blast, so you will blast, and with this trait you can remove 2 conditions because of the blast, and then with this relic we can heal because of the blast. So when you reduce the cooldown on some blasting skills on the elementalist, you are basically boosting its support capabilities. And also we have this other cooldown reduction by 5 seconds, which is kind of strong. On the skill 5 on the dagger, reduce the cooldown from 25 to 20 seconds, and also increase the base healing to 2k sorry, in all game modes. So this is another buff on the staff skill 5, on the dagger skill 5, sorry. And it's good to have. I don't think anything will change because the staff is just stronger in my opinion at this time. Like maybe you can provide less heals a bit and for sure less auras, but on the staff we have stability. With this one we can blast the magnetic aura on the skill 3 on the earth. We have aftershock, which is another earth aura, you can blast it and it's another stability. Then we have the overload and you will get another shocking aura and you can blast it, like transmute it, sorry, not blast. And also transmuting the skill 3 on the staff earth skill 3, you can blast, so you have so many blasts on this skill, like 1, 2 and 3, and every blast will concur to heal the allies and to remove conditions from them because of this trait. And also finishing the overload will grant you this one, and you have another one to blast because of this, and then the cooldown comes up again. So I think the stabilities are just too strong on this build, but Dagger can work. It's very similar in my opinion, it's not bad. Then let's see other Tempest changes. We have Wash the Pain Away. The skill now removes a conditions from ally every pulse. So as you might already know, Wash the Pain Away has 3 pulses, 1, 2 and 3. You see they expand. And previously you removed a condition from allies only with the 3rd pulse. Now you can remove 1 condition per pulse. So it's basically an additional 10 conditions removal, since every pulse will hit 5 allies, so 5, 5, 5, 15 instead of only 5. And then we also have Rebound. This skill now grants stability instead of Fury, so we have stability on our elite skill, you press it, stability. Previously you provided Fury. ArenaNet maybe thought that Fury was useless and they gave it stability, since stability is so needed in War vs World. Now the Tempest is a very strong stability provider if you run this stuff, because as I already said, you have this one, and then you can shout, another stability, and then you can use this one, which is the overload. You get another shocking aura, stability again, and then you have rebound, which is a stability, and then we also run this trait on this build, which is rock solid, grant stability to nearby allies when attuning to earth. So we have like 4 or 5 sources of stability, which is very nice to pair up with a Firebrand to help him provide stability. But I think this class is not super relevant even with these buffs, because the Scrapper can just provide a lot of barrier and super speed and a similar number of heals and condition cleanses, and also this class has no access to resistance and most importantly to the barriers, which is a huge component, and the Scrapper, I think it remains the king of the secondary support. For the other classes, the patch notes are not really that interesting. We have this minor change on the catalyst, which could be used maybe for a support catalyst, I don't know. I will work on it. Then on the engineer we have some smaller buffs like healing mist cooldown reduced by 3 seconds, like not really needed. And then we have the mechanist, which is a huge nerf. This trait now applies might instead of alacrity in War vs Sword only. So up to this day we could apply alacrity with our mech in War vs Sword. Now we cannot do it anymore. So mechanist maybe was about to become relevant. Now it won't be relevant because like it's not super strong, like it can provide some barrier and healing, but the alacrity is just non-existent now. So I don't think anyone will take the mechanist, for example, above the Scrapper. Then we had some minor buffs on the Core Guardian, like we have the skill 2 on the Mace, which is buffed by a bit, sorry. And now you can heal your allies on the impact, on the symbol. And then also we have Cleansing Flame. This skill now removes 2 conditions from the player, which is the skill 5 from the Torch. We have Old Line, which is a shout, increase the ammunition from 1 to 2. Maybe I could work on some Core Support Guardian. I already have it, but maybe something changed. And also we have Signet of Courage, which is the elite skill. This skill now breaks stun for the user and nearby allies when activated. So this is very good because the Core Support Guardian didn't have really stun breaks on the elite skill like the Firebrand does with the mantra. So this could be interesting to work with, and also with the Old Line I could work to it. On the Mesmer we have basically nothing really interesting or like life-changing. We have this minor nerf, I think I read it, the super speed. Okay, this is one. Reduce the super speed duration from 3 seconds to 2 seconds from Temporal Enchanter, so 1 second less of super speed. And also we have Split Surge, reduced the damage from 0.45 to 0.36 in War vs Sword only. As you already know, the Power Mirage on the Greysword was a thing, like is super strong. I think it still is. This nerf is not bad, like it's a pretty consistent nerf. It's like a nerf of the 20% of the damage, but still I think it can remain relevant. On the Necromancer it's almost everything is useless, except the Transfusion nerf, of course. On the Revenant, almost every nerf was on the PvP aspect, so I will not cover it here. The Thief, it's unplayable. The Warrior, nothing changed for War vs Sword. So this is it for these patch notes. So now I will discuss a bit the Spears and how the meta is shifting and how I predict it will shift. Of course, I am not omniscient, so I don't know how it will go. Let's get into it. So for the spear aspect, I think the only good spear build on War vs Sword as of today is the Spear Dragon Hunter, because this build basically can unleash a lot of damage. We have already the Greysword. We used to pair it with the Longbow, but it was nerfed long ago. Then maybe we went to the Hammer, but the Hammer was super slow and basically except the skill 2 you had nothing to do. And the skill 2 was also forced movement. With the Spear you can unleash a lot of melee damage and also provide a small CC. You have AoE damage, you can have a big burst on the skill 2 and then you can swap to Greysword and destroy your enemies with the skill 2 and the skill 4 while having your traps, which do a lot of melee damage, like it's not super great the damage, but you hit so many enemies, and also this one is unblockable and deals a lot of damage. This one has 5 targets per hit and it has 10 hits, so you can really hit all the Zerg up while having little effort. You also are super tanky because of the Shield of Courage. You have an invulnerability which will reset your Shield of Courage, so you can use it again. You have mobility, you have a super strong pull which is also unblockable, so if the enemy has no stability they are fucked, you can pull them. And also you have Litany of Wrath, which makes you almost unkillable if you have some AoEs on the ground, like for example the traps and this symbol or any other thing, and you keep casting while you have it. You can heal yourself by 33% of the damage dealt to enemies. So I think for now, from what I've been testing, the Spear Dragon Hunter is just the only viable build we have. I also tried the Spear Vindicator for the damage together with the Greatsword. It didn't really go well. Spear is too slow, the AoEs are small, and also the damage is not enough in my opinion. You need to press many buttons for a little reward. In my opinion, if you want to play damage Vindicator, just stay on Greatsword and Hammer. The Hammer has 2 skills which are a bit slow, but they do decent damage, and you don't need to destroy your keyboard to apply damage on the enemies. Then on the warrior we had the core warrior, which was super strong on the spear, and then it was nerfed on the F1 and on the skill 4, so it became irrelevant, like it's not playable anymore. The damage is still decent, but you will be surpassed by every Holosmith or Dragon Hunter. It's interesting to try the spear on the Spellbreaker, like I tried it a bit, I need to work more on it, because the damage is decent, because the spear is still decent, and also you have a lot of boon strip, so it's a good off DPS in my opinion. You can have Greatsword and Spear to do damage from range and from melee, and you have a lot of boon strip with the bubble, or maybe you could go for the War Banner to stomp the enemies, since there is no Transfusion anymore. Your War Banners will be stronger now. It's an indirect buff on the War Banner because the enemies cannot move while they are downed, so you can stomp them safely. Then there is the Engineer. The Spear is just a meme on that class. On the Ranger, I tried the Spear on the Untamed together with the Greatsword, but I think the Hammer plus Greatsword is still better. The skill 2 on the Ranger is very strong on the Spear, but it's super melee, it's a bit slow to cast, and I don't think it's worth it to play Spear instead of Hammer, for example. Maybe you could also go double Mace and Hammer, or double Mace and Greatsword. I need to test more, but I think Spear is not super worth it. On the Thief, it's super bad. On the Elementalist, it's decent, but like, why don't go Staff, which has basically big AoEs from range as the Spear, but they are much faster and much easier to land. Like to cast the Volcano on the skill 5 on the Fire Spear on the Elementalist, you need to cast first 3 other skills, and then the Volcano comes out from the ground, and before it starts erupting, it takes like 2 seconds, and the damage, I mean, it's not super good. You cannot really decide where it goes. I would go Meteor Shower on the Staff like all the time instead of the Spear. On the Mesmer, it could be interesting. I need to try it more, maybe on a DPS Mirage with the Spear and Greatsword, since the Greatsword was nerfed a bit, and also maybe on a melee Chronomancer with the Spear for the damage and for the boon removal with your Shatters, and it could have a nice burst on the skill 2 and skill 5 and skill 4 and skill 2 again. On the Necromancer, I tried it. It's too slow, the damage is not there, you have no boon strip except the skill 5, and also it was nerfed on the latest patch. You don't have anymore the extirpation mechanic, so the 3 boons non-application was removed, so the enemies will apply now every boon they want, even if you hit them. So maybe it could work on the Reaper together with the Greatsword, but I think Axe and Focus are just better to focus down a single target, and also Axe skill 3 is one of my favorite skill. Big AoE around you with big damage and also boon corruption. So this is the recap for the Spear situation. So let's discuss a bit how the meta will change in my opinion. So we have the Celestial Firebrand, which now is dead, so this class doesn't exist anymore. The Firebrand will stay relevant, of course, and meta and needed in every party, at least one Firebrand per party, but not on the Celestial aspect because it doesn't have concentration anymore. Just go for Minstrel or Cleric or I don't know what else. Cleric actually doesn't have concentration, so don't go Cleric, sorry, delete it. Then we have the Scourge, which is of course nerfed by the Celestial nerf, and also it has no transfusion. So I think this one is a big nerf, but the Scourge is so strong and has so many barriers and boon strips that I think the Scourge remains relevant. Even without Celestial, you can play Minstrel or maybe some DPS Scourge. Then the Celestial Renegade is deleted from the game on the Celestial stats. Maybe some Minstrel will work, like Celestial provided a bit of damage with like precision, power, ferocity, and also Condi damage, but the damage was like really almost zero even with Celestial. So with Minstrel you will always deal 0 damage, of course, but still you can provide the utilities from the alacrity, from the stability, while providing also boon strip thanks to Malik's legend. Then I think the Reaper and the Dragon Hunter, like Dragon Hunter maybe now is S tier together with the Holosmith and Scrapper. Scrapper is S tier because it's the best secondary support. Mirage was nerfed a bit, so maybe it's B, tier B, I'm not sure, probably not, it's still tier A. I think the Berserker, which is a bit outshined lately, will be played more because you have like a revival on the War Banner and also is a stomp if you want. So without the transfusion ruining your stomps, the War Banner is more valuable, and also it's one of the only way to revive your allies. This also applies for the Druid, the elite skill on the Druid. Both the elite skills are good to revive allies. You can use the Glyph of the Stars or the Spirit of Nature to revive your allies, since the transfusion is not there anymore. You can maybe play this one. The Mechanist was trying to push these positions, these tiers, these ranks because of the alacrity, but it was deleted. So I think this tier list remains a bit of unchanged. Like the Condi spam will be inferior now, so the secondary supports maybe will switch a bit towards more damage and barrier instead of condition cleanses, because conditions are nerfed without the expertise on the Celestial. But I think the meta won't shake a lot, because also Spear didn't bring a lot of diversity in the classes, like only 1 or 2 classes are viable on Spear. So this is just my opinion, take it with a grain of salt. Thank you for watching. Please, if you like my content, consider joining the channel, subscribing, and to support the channel you can also join me and pay a monthly subscription if you want. It's like $2 per month. It's super cheap. Thank you for watching again, and see you on to the next video. Have a great night. Bye bye.